Welcome to the Secret History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. British sailor Walter Yeo appears after undergoing one of the first facial reconstruction procedures using skin grafts. The treatment took place in 1917 during World War I. Comedian Harold Lloyd hangs from a building clock in one of the most famous scenes of silent cinema. The image is from the film Safety Last, released in 1923 in the United States. The first Boeing 747 is unveiled to the public during a special ceremony at the assembly plant in Everett, Washington on September 30, 1968. People rest on the sidewalk surrounded by confetti and papers after celebrating the end of World War II. The scene took place in New York City on August 14, 1945. The Daytona Beach Circuit in Florida hosted NASCAR's first official race in 1948. The track combined paved and sandy sections running parallel to the ocean. William Steig, illustrator and author who later created the character Shrek, stands beside professional wrestler Maurice Tillet in 1937. Tillet was known for his striking appearance caused by a bone growth condition. Young Svetlana Stalin sits on Lavrenti Beria's lap in a 1931 photo with her father, Joseph Stalin, in the background. The image was taken during an informal moment among Soviet leaders. A large fissure opened in a snow-covered road in Anchorage, Alaska, USA in 1964. The scene was captured shortly after a powerful earthquake struck the area. An American family leaves Florida for the northern United States during the Great Depression in the 1930s. Many people migrated in search of work, better living conditions, or support from relatives. Passengers board the world's first underground subway ride in London in 1862. The journey was part of initial tests of the Metropolitan line, which officially opened to the public in 1863. A family watches television for the first time in the Burgundy region of France in 1962. The set takes center stage in the living room as everyone watches intently. Barack Obama stands with friends in a 1979 photo during his youth in Hawaii. The group, informally known as the Choom Gang, consisted of students from Punahou School in Honolulu. A Spanish flag captured during the famous Battle of Trafalgar in 1805 became a historical symbol of that naval engagement. The battle took place off Spain's coast and involved the navies of the United Kingdom, France, and Spain. Father Damien appears on the island of Molokai in Hawaii, where he devoted his life to caring for people with leprosy. He arrived at the Kalaupapa settlement in 1873, offering spiritual support and practical aid to residents. Soldiers newly returned from World War II are welcomed at McSorley's Old Ale House in New York City in 1945. Founded in 1854, it is one of the oldest continuously operating bars in the city. The Red Barn was one of the first aviation hangars in U.S. history. Located on the banks of the Duwamish River in Seattle, it began use as a production facility in 1917. Protesters from the Socialist Unity Party of Germany, SED, marched through streets holding a sign that reads, "Yankee Go Home," during the Berlin airlift in 1948. The sign criticizes the Marshall Plan, symbolizing resistance to U.S. presence and influence in post-war Europe. Steve McQueen stands next to his 1966 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray 427 Coupe. Known for his love of cars and racing, the actor was also an icon of American cinema. Ozzy Osbourne strikes a playful pose holding his son Jack, just 2 weeks old, in 1985. The image was taken at his home and shows the irreverent side of the rock star. Debbie Fields, founder of the Mrs. Fields cookie chain, poses on Dune 19 in 1983. Known for turning a small shop into a national brand in the United States, she started her business in 1977. Boys known as pin boys manually set bowling pins in 1914 before automatic pin setters were invented. They worked at the end of the lanes, putting pins back after each roll. A DAF Domburg diesel model is displayed in the Netherlands in 1949, featuring a hood designed to open fully for easy engine access. The design reflected concern for mechanics' work and daily maintenance. A woman walks through Paris carrying a baguette and 6 bottles of wine in 1945. The image captures a simple moment of everyday life just after the end of the Great Conflict in Europe. A Panasonic flat TV model is displayed at a tech fair in New York City in the late 1960s. The innovative design drew attention for reducing the set's depth compared to traditional TVs of the era. The city of Detroit, Michigan, is seen from above in a photo taken on July 15, 1947. The image was captured by a Ford Motor Company advertising blimp. A man remains locked in a wooden device called a stocks on a street in China. The practice was used as public punishment and humiliation. A pilot from the Women's Air Force Service of America poses at Avenger Field in Texas in 1943. These women were trained to fly military aircraft during World War II. Famous actor Errol Flynn poses aboard his yacht Sirocco in California waters. Known for his swashbuckling roles in 1930s and 40s action films, Flynn was also passionate about the sea. A young Muhammad Ali is seen inside his car, operating a vinyl record player installed in the dashboard. The image was captured in 1960 in the United States as the boxer began to rise to fame. A man walks alongside a bicycle with disproportionate wheels in 1881. The model, common at the time, featured a much larger front wheel, helping achieve higher speeds. A U.S. Air Force observer handles a K-3B aerial camera at the Brooks Airfield in San Antonio, Texas, in 1943. The equipment was used to capture high-precision aerial images. Western tourists watch and photograph a snake charmer in India in 1959. The performer uses a traditional instrument called a pungi to play melodies, while the snake follows the movements. A man uses a car-installed telephone while parked on the street in 1959. Such vehicular phones were considered advanced technology and were accessible only to a few. Officials organized the draft lottery held by the U.S. Selective Service in Washington, D.C. in 1969. Each capsule contained a day of the year, setting the order of call-ups based on registrants' birth dates. Captain Lewis Nixon of Easy Company is seen the morning after Victory in Europe Day on May 8, 1945. He holds a bottle taken from a high-ranking German officer's residence during the occupation at war's end. Modified vehicles compete in a push-ball match at the Canadian National Exhibition in 1925. The game involved pushing a huge ball using lightweight, bodiless cars. The Willamette meteorite, weighing 34,200 pounds, was discovered in Oregon, USA. It is the largest ever found in the country and the 6th largest in the world. The steam locomotive known as the Whim is seen operating near Melbourne's Australia. It was used to collect and transport timber to a sawmill. Hundreds of vehicles gather for the opening of the Holland Tunnel in New York City in 1927. The tunnel connects Manhattan to Jersey City beneath the Hudson River. The 8 Kennedy children posed together in Hyannisport, Massachusetts in 1928. From left to right, Jean, Bobby, Patricia, Eunice, Kathleen, Rosemary, Jack, future President John F. Kennedy, and Joe Jr. A man of unusual height sits in a New York tavern in 1908. Beside him, an average height patron highlights the striking contrast between the two. A unique lamppost served hot drinks like tea, coffee, and water from its base. Installed in London in the late 1800s, the fixture combined public lighting with pedestrian convenience. Richard Norris Williams appears as one of the survivors of the famous ship Titanic, which sank in 1912. Even after spending hours in freezing waters, he refused doctors' suggestions to amputate his legs. Robert Wadlow appears at age 10 beside another 10-year-old child of average height. The photo highlights the impressive height difference between them. A powerful earthquake hit Chile in 1960, the strongest ever recorded, with a magnitude of 9.5 on the ground motion scale. The event affected the Valdivia region in the country's south. Tanya Mallet plays Tilly Masterson in the film Goldfinger, released in 1964 as part of the famous James Bond series. She is seen sitting on a stack of gold bars in one of the film's memorable scenes. An escaped chimpanzee is seen in a calm negotiation with the director of the Belgrade Zoo in the former Yugoslavia in 1988. The scene drew attention for its careful, non-violent approach. A man delivers soba noodles by bicycle in Tokyo, Japan, around 1950. The food is carefully stacked in wooden trays, balanced on his shoulders. Ho Chi Minh, leader of Vietnam, meets Kim Il-sung, founder of North Korea, in February 1957 in Hanoi, northern Vietnam. The meeting was part of an official visit between the two countries. After the 1960 Chile earthquake, further hardship followed as dams and lakes burst. Floodwaters swept into already damaged towns, worsening conditions for local residents. Employees work in the shipping department of Macy's store in New York City during the 1940s. The image shows stacks of parcels being organized for delivery, reflecting the era's bustling commerce. A train is shown off the tracks in the Islamorada region of Florida, USA. The image was captured in 1935 after a severe storm with extreme winds hit the area. Students train to drive trams at a specialized school in Hackney, London. The image dates to the early 1900s, when tram systems were essential to the British capital's urban transit. A young Paul McCartney, only 10 years old, appears in the top left corner of the image as he rings the bells of Liverpool Cathedral in 1952. The scene captures a simple childhood moment of who would become a global music icon. A 9-barrel cannon on display in a museum dates to the 16th century during the Ottoman Empire. The weapon was designed to fire multiple projectiles simultaneously to increase short-range impact. First-century Roman steps led up to the Sphinx in Egypt, easing access to the monument when it was visited by travelers of the Roman Empire. A mobile Zeiss telescope with a 9.5-inch refractor lens is shown in use in California in 1933. The equipment was mounted on a wheeled base, making transport to different observation sites easier. Tourists drink tea and soak up the sun atop the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt in 1938. At that time, visits to the very top of the pyramid were still allowed. Walter and Aloha Wanderwell stand beside the car they used on a long international journey. In 1925, Aloha became the first woman to drive around the world. Men compete in a fun contest known as Knobbly Knees on an English beach in 1953. The competition awarded the funniest or most pronounced knees among the participants. London residents tied hammocks between subway tracks to rest safely at night. The scene took place in the 1940s during the Blitz, when the city sought protective shelter underground. A man is fined for not wearing what was deemed appropriate swimwear on a Heemskerk beach in the Netherlands in 1931. Local authorities enforce strict dress codes in public spaces. A server delivers sodas in front of a convertible car in the United States during the 1940s. Known as car hops, these attendants brought orders directly to vehicles at drive-ins. Ingrid Bergman poses with her twin daughters, Isabella and Isolde Rossellini, in 1952. The Swedish actress was one of the most respected figures in international film at the time. General Motors plant in Port Elizabeth, South Africa, is shown in full operation in the early 1960s. The facility was one of the company's main plants outside the United States, dedicated to assembling vehicles for the local market. A bride walks through London on November 4, 1940, leaving her damaged home to attend her wedding ceremony. Despite the hardships, she kept her plan to marry on the same day. Female police officers, known as officerettes, pose with their motorcycles in Los Angeles in 1927. They were part of a pioneering initiative to include women in the city's traffic patrols. A woman walks the streets of Kuwait in 1955 carrying a sewing machine on her shoulders. The equipment was considered a valuable asset used both for work and domestic life. A mail carrier on a motorcycle is seen in Washington, D.C. in May 1912. The vehicle was adopted to speed up mail delivery in increasingly busy urban areas. A row of bookshelves fell in a domino effect inside a library in Ohio, USA in 1971. It all started when one shelf lost balance, toppling the others in sequence. A horseman performs an impressive exercise at the Italian Cavalry School in 1906. The image shows the horse climbing a steep wall, demonstrating advanced training and full control of the animal. Pablo Picasso is seen in his Paris studio in 1944, surrounded by brushes, canvases, and sculptures. Even during hard times, he continued producing works that would shape modern art history. Debbie Reynolds and her daughter, Carrie Fisher, are seen aboard a private jet during the 1970s. Both were well-known figures in Hollywood with prominent film careers. Members of an indigenous community present a ceremonial salmon to a train engineer in Oregon, USA in 1940. The gesture represented respect and gratitude, blending tradition and modernity. A Pepsi delivery driver poses beside a stylized truck in the United States in the 1940s. The vehicle, with rounded design and vibrant paint, was used to distribute soft drinks to local markets and diners. Alexei Pajitnov, a Soviet programmer, appears in the 1980s as the creator of the famous game Tetris. He developed the game in 1984 while working at the Moscow Academy of Sciences. Gertrude Ederle became the first woman to swim across the English Channel on August 26, 1926. She completed the swim in 14 hours and 31 minutes, beating even previous male swimmers' times. Elevator operators pose inside the Selfridge & Co. department store on Oxford Street in London in 1928. They wore formal uniforms and guided passengers between floors. The photograph shows a contemporary couple beside a Citroën 2CV with French plates, likely taken in the 1950s or 1960s. A traffic officer manually operates a signal on a Philadelphia street in 1922. The device, with movable arms, was used to control vehicle and pedestrian flow before electric signals became widespread. People use phone booths installed in a Mobile Bell Company van in Toronto in 1983. The vehicle was adapted to provide public phone access at outdoor events or locations without fixed infrastructure. A couple smiles as they ice skate while carrying their baby in a support bracket between them. The scene was captured around the 1930s on an indoor skating rink. A girl fills a container using an automatic milk vending machine in London in the 1940s. The device allowed people to buy milk directly on the street by inserting coins and turning a tap. People study a new map of Europe on public display in 1918. The image was captured soon after World War I ended, when many borders were being redrawn. A tram crosses the construction zone of the Piccadilly line in London in 1903. The line was part of the expansion of the city's underground transit system. Alma Reville stands in a kitchen beside a wax figure of her husband Alfred Hitchcock's head inside the refrigerator around 1974. The image was created as part of a playful homage to the director's style. A truck makes the first Coca-Cola delivery in Knoxville, Tennessee in 1919. The vehicle is loaded with bottles and bears the company's name painted on its sides. Men work in front of a mechanic's shop in Iron Mountain, Michigan, USA. The 1915 image shows a Ford Model T being moved with the help of a handcart. Ozzy Osbourne stands with his first wife, Thelma Riley, on their wedding day in 1971. The ceremony marked the start of a new chapter in the British singer's early music career. And want to support the channel, please use the Super Thanks tool below. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you amazing historical content. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.